So, there's a new design for Snake Ball. It meant to be a female zombie at the earlier stage of the game development, but as development progressed, she became less about zombie and more with its own. Another thing is, I made its look to be gender neutral, so there's no need to make multiple variants do the same job but different looks, like male and female. Furthermore, I implemented a dedicated melee attack for that enemy besides this creature's puke attack. I think it makes the game's combat more exciting and challenging, and it serves another purpose to combat mechanics work, but for now, I explain that detail later. Anyway, I think it's good timing to talk about the sound design of my game. Sounds in games play a significant role in games. If it didn't, no one probably talked about sound chips like SID in Commodore 64 or Polar in Amiga PCs to this day, unless about its silly name. Some sounds directly affect the overall feel of the entire game to the player, and some sounds are required to notify something to the player to avoid upcoming danger or treasure. So, let's talk about the ingenuity of the sound design of my game, the CryBullets. I was talking about this topic a bit when I talked about gun designs a while back, so let's dig into this topic further in this video. As I mentioned before, CryBullets gun firing sound come from a heavy mix of stock sound effects from Japanese free stock sound websites to the CC0 sound effects from a website hosted by an English language website. From here, I'll talk about the further details I didn't in the past. As for reload sounds, Crystal Pistol, or I'd like to call it from here now, Flame Bang, and Crystal SMG, Rapid Frost, reload sounds came from handgun and M4 rifle model guns that lie around in my house, because this gun structure is much different from real life guns. I could use them as a source of sounds. But my shotgun, Poison Shot, reload sounds required another method to make the sound effects because it had a vastly different reload mechanics from the model guns in my house. So I took a completely different approach. First, I took several sounds like door opening, closing sound, sounds of lock hits, etc. Second, I took those sounds and arranged them with a higher pitch and faster playing speed to fit Poison Shot's reload sounds. I think it turned out to be nice enough. It sounds good enough to be satisfying to reload, but it feels a bit lacking in believability as the reload sound of the gun. So I think there's still some work left for polish. So it is time to move on from gun sound design and talk about the sound design of combat in general. Firstly, the sound of hit markers. I wanted the hit marker sounds to be very punchy, satisfying, and original to hear. I think some people talked about the importance of good hit marker sound in the past. For originality, PS3 era called games like click sound were the thing I wanted to avoid. One day, for some reason, I came up with the idea of wearing an Oculus Quest 2 headset, punching myself onto the head, and recording it through Quest 2 microphone multiple times. It turned out to be surprisingly good sound for hit marker. Some of the sound records were also usable to notify the kill sound. Secondly, special attack sound. In CryBullets, there's two ways that the enemy is to attack. Normal attack, wake one from an enemy that injury hardly becomes critical. Special attack, very effective attack from an enemy that you should avoid, but if you shoot them during that attack, you can crystallize them. So yeah, that's risk and reward thing you might expect from usual game design document. To notify special attack to the player, not only with the visual but by creating an audio notification of "Shaking" by mixing sounds of sword and shield and stock sound effect of shine on onomatopoeia. From my experience, the player is better at the reflection when there's a sound of the enemy, at least for me anyway. I remember I struggled with the pairing in God of War 2018, a game with only a visual notification. Meanwhile, I had no problem with games like Hi-Fi Rush and Fury, which offered visual and audio notification. Speaking of special attack, I could dig into those combat mechanics. I've already written a 1500 plus word transcript of the dev diary talking about unique combat mechanics that talked about. But as I wrote mechanics information to that FPS design example, the terrible game I despise, the relationship with your mom, the script went all over the place. So yeah, it requires more time to cook to become a half decent script, so I wouldn't be embarrassed to post on the internet. Go back to the topic of sound design. There are still some problems with the enemy itself. As for human enemies, I only gave a free stock sound effect of a scream. It's all fine and serviceable, but the problem is creatures like them. I can't find appropriate stock sounds for them. Nor do I have any idea how to mix the stock sounds I have access to. I could give a voice to them by myself, and I did. The result wasn't pretty. If you want to check that out, join the game's Discord server or wait a few weeks then so you can see it from this Twitter account. So don't forget to follow it, you lazy Susan. So I wish there was any voice actor that does creature voices like them. Another problem arises when there's a need for the protagonist, really. The same could be said for the other characters like Akone or Crocker, who are the main sidekick of this game. Things like stock sound effects and AI voices aren't good enough to convey information to players during the gameplay as they heard, and certain attacks are ready without sounds getting overwhelming. It's difficult to find a voice actor for characters like them. Voice actor for human characters in CryBullets need to be Japanese people. One voice anime art style, but most importantly, I have no confidence in the instructing acting of foreign voice actors when I, a developer, am Japanese. I don't want to give him the voice of myself unless for placeholder's sake. I'm older than him and have no common with him. He is not a projection of myself, unlike Max Payne was some like the projection. If I had to make an appearance in my game, NPC or, I don't know, sandbag for the player to punch. I could have posted this dev diary earlier if I wasn't busy with other events and stuff in real life and I didn't have to others using my main PC. That's why this audio design video has different record quality than other videos, ironically. Anyway, as a Japanese person, sometimes I struggle to understand writing techniques of English, like rhyme in English. Let me give a shot. Anyone who pretends to attitude as he knows deserves to shove a fork at their nose.